Phase 1 of a landmark trade deal with China will be signed this week, if there are no more snags. 6 months ago, the Chinese backed off of what they'd agreed to at the last minute, prompting President Trump to put big taxes on Chinese imports. If you aren't sure what all this is about and why it matters so much, there's no one better to ask than Michael Pillsbury, an outside advisor to President Trump, head of the Center for Chinese Strategy at the Hudson Institute think tank, and author of the 100-Year Marathon, China's Secret Strategy to Replace the United States. In a sentence or two, what does Phase 1 seek to do, or what will it accomplish?
Well, the most important thing about Phase 1, in my opinion, is to have an enforcement mechanism where the Chinese set up a system that the American side can make complaints. You stole this intellectual property from us on this date and we lost this much money. Please fix it. China's never agreed to it with any other country in the world. So this will be the breakthrough that the president will have achieved. But there's also something that the president cares a lot about called the trade deficit. That China has a $500 billion trade deficit with us. It's the biggest one in the world. The Chinese are promising to greatly increase their purchase of American exports.
If you can explain in simple terms why Americans who are not wrapped up in China trade and geoglobal politics, why this matters to them, what would you say?
Well, the key thing is American jobs. As we've exported jobs, mainly to China, our own country has suffered a certain number, let's say 3 million, lost jobs. High-paying jobs are also being lost. So the trade agreement's designed to increase the number of American jobs that come from exports.
Can you give like a specific example of a way the United States of America had jobs and what happened that put those in China's lap?
Sure, there are many, many examples. The Chinese will pick a company. They will steal its intellectual property, its trade secrets. They will essentially put it out of business.
An American company.
An American company. They will take its market share. And that American company in a certain city then no longer has those 1,000 jobs. And they've been doing this off and on in different places for 20 years. So over time, it's all built up. And no one's noticed this.
In terms of how large, if this Phase 1 is signed, how big of a deal this is, how would you characterize that?
Well, it's pretty big. The president at one time used the joke, granddaddy of them all, trade deals.
No matter where you look, there can't be a deal like this. This is the granddaddy of them all.
Because we're the 2 largest economies in the world. Many people think China is still a backward country with peasants and they ride bicycles. No, they're ahead of us in many ways. Supercomputers, 5G, telecommunications technology. It's quite a long list of where China has surpassed America.
Phase 2 in a paragraph would cover what, and when could we expect that?
Well, this is a very delicate issue because Phase 2 is supposed to be things that were not resolved in Phase 1. The biggest one being the subsidies Chinese companies get from their government that give them massive unfair advantages against our companies. Some people think Phase 1 means no more tariffs. President Trump has dropped the ball. No, he's kept most of the tariffs on China. So the pressure is still on. China's very unhappy about this. If they don't show up for the signing, my view is it'll be because we didn't take all the tariffs off. So there's some level of suspense. I think they will come. I think they will have a signing ceremony Wednesday, January 15th. But I don't want to be totally optimistic, foolishly optimistic, and say everything is taken care of.
Add to the volatile mix, some Chinese claim the U.S. is trying to provoke China into a military confrontation through U.S. attacks on Iran, since China is a major importer of Iranian oil and a close partner of Russia.